The FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, don't understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto, and that's a real problem because if you don't understand that one is a decentralized protocol and the other are VC companies, then you're not going to be able to legislate for them properly. The reason why I first bought Bitcoin is because I wanted to buy some Dogecoin.
We have it on record now.
Bitcoin mining doesn't use water. Even the ones that are called in hydro are in closed-loop systems. They don't really use water. It was just ridiculous. For a long, long time, I thought that you needed to pay tax for a functioning society, that it was a moral obligation if you wanted to look after people. And I really, truly believed that for a long time. And then when I really understood what they spent our tax money on, and I started feeling like actually paying tax was immoral.
Hello and welcome from Bitcoin Vegas 2025. I'm Afret with You're the Voice.
And I'm Ben from Crypto Talks.
And we're here today at a collaboration. We're going to interview a series of guests here in Vegas. And we'll introduce each one of them for you, and then we'll roll with the episode.
The episodes are going to be released on both You're the Voice and Crypto Talks, so make sure you're subscribed to both.
סדרת הפודקאסטים שהוקלטה בביטקוין וגאס 2025 מובאת לכם בחסות B2C. B2C היא הבורסת קריפטו הראשונה המפוקחת בישראל שפועלת עם רישיון מטעם רשות שוק ההון, ביטוח וחיסכון ומאפשרת לכם לקנות, למכור, לסחור בביטקוין ומטבעות דיגיטליים 24 שעות ביממה פה בישראל ובשקלים. אם אתם מעוניינים להירשם לבורסה אתם מוזמנים לעשות זאת בלינק שמופיע לכם ברגע זה בתיאור הסרטון, ואם אתם כבר רשומים בבורסה אז דעו כי אתם יכולים להזמין חברים ולקבל 50 שקלים עבור כל חבר בהתאם לתקנון, מוזמנים להיכנס ללינק. אני רוצה גם להזכיר לכם ששום דבר שהאורחים בפרק אפרת ואני אומרים לא צריך או יכול לשמש כהמלצה לפעולה או כייעוץ השקעות. אתם ילדים גדולים, תקבלו את ההחלטות שלכם עבור עצמכם ותהנו מהפרק.
Our next guest is Suzee Violet Ward. Suzee is the CEO and co-founder of Bitcoin Policy UK. She's a financial analyst and journalist specializing in Bitcoin. She writes for Forbes, focusing on the intersection of Bitcoin and the environment. So Suzee, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. I wanted to do this for a long time because we've been hanging out together for a while in conferences and spaces and stuff like that. Let's start with Bitcoin Policy UK and you. So what's Bitcoin Policy UK mission, your role there, and how did you roll into Bitcoin?
Can you remind me of some of those questions? So the first one, okay, what's the mission? So we want to advocate for people that buy, hold, and want to sell Bitcoin. So anyone that wants to do any of those three things, we want to make sure that it's easy for them and they can actually do it, because the UK is quite a hostile environment when it comes to Bitcoin. The on-off ramps have made it quite difficult. The FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, don't understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto, and that's a real problem because if you don't understand that one is a decentralized protocol and the other are VC companies, then you're not going to be able to legislate for them properly. So we want to make sure that there's good education so they can make right decisions so that the regulations can be fair and useful to people.
So your main mission is education on that front, or do you also do other stuff?
So we are a think tank. We respond to consultations. So my co-founder and chief policy officer, Freddie,
our good friend Freddie,
he does the most amazing consultations and writes pages and pages.
I just had lunch with him, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So you got the man. He's the man.
Yeah. And we also try and advocate for mining, and we're trying to create proof of concepts in the UK to show that it can make business sense. So across a whole array of different Bitcoin angles.
And your role in Bitcoin Policy UK?
I'm the CEO.
Relatively new?
So yes, December.
Cool.
Yeah,
you
very
liking
new.
It?
Yeah. It's difficult.
It's hard work.
It's very difficult. Yes, it's like pushing a boulder uphill. So you're trying to advocate for something that most people don't understand. And even people who you think that Bitcoin naturally fits with them, all of their ethoses seem to suggest that Bitcoin would be the perfect thing. They still think that it boils the oceans, that it's a Ponzi scheme and that it's for criminals. So having to unwind that damage is really difficult.
sounds very familiar.
It does, yeah.
And your personal journey into Bitcoin, where did it start?
I started off as an accountant. Well, I suppose going right back. So what really led me to Bitcoin was I was an accountant and then a financial analyst. I worked in IT and then became a developer for a system called Cognos. And I think all of those individual parts led me to Bitcoin. So when I started learning about it, I had the IT and the finance background that gave me the added advantage, and it just all clicked into place.
And that happened when? Like, and how? In terms of like, when did you have the aha moment?
That happens a lot. I don't think there was ever any one moment.
Interesting.
So the reason why I first bought Bitcoin is because I wanted to buy some Dogecoin.
We have it on record now.
And the only reason I bought it, Dogecoin and XRP. So
Oh my God.
I'm gonna make a clip out of that, Susie.
No.
You're done. That's it. That's it. Susie's erased from the Bitcoin community.
But I've learned my lesson. So I bought the Bitcoin and then I split it and I bought a little. It was only 70 quid worth. It was only a tiny amount. But because I had I was just curious, like, how do you buy this stuff? Like, how do you do it? It's completely different to the normal finance TradFi. And it was curiosity, basically.
And when was it?
That would be in 2020, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it was just incremental.
Yeah.
And you just start learning about it. And then once it just becomes so interesting that you almost can't stop.
She's a bit like me. Like once you recently, like you come into it and once you see what this world is, you just want to dive deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And it does take people talk about rabbit holes. And yes, I mean, they're everywhere.
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 Yeah.
Okay. So given that your role in the UK is talking with regulators and educating retail, etc., what's your current assessment of the Bitcoin policy status in the UK in terms of adoption, public perception, and obviously regulation?
Okay, it's a very hostile environment. And I was on a panel the other day at the Financial Times Digital Asset Summit.
I saw,
And it was a compliance panel. And what was quite funny about that panel is I wasn't supposed to be on it. So this shows how little the Financial Times understand about Bitcoin. They originally put me on a staking panel. So I tried to explain to them that maybe
becoming funnier as we go. Go on.
I tried to explain that Bitcoin was proof of work and perhaps I wasn't the best person to be on a staking panel. And they were like, no, it's fine. You'll bring a different angle to it. And I'm like, yes, I think I will.
I'm not sure you want my angle.
No. So we had the pre-panel discussion and I think there was a moment when the penny dropped that maybe I wasn't the right person for that panel. And then the conversation ended very quickly. The lady coordinating it said, right, I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable on this panel. Shut it down. And then the next thing I know, I was being put on a compliance panel. So when I was on this compliance panel, there was a chap from Revolut. And he said, well, we may have missed the opportunity for a first mover advantage in the UK, but I think we have an opportunity for a second mover advantage. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like
what? With crypto?
With Bitcoin and crypto,
Okay.
And I was like, we are so far behind.
Oh,
we will never catch up. The best we can hope for is just that we're just not left as far behind as we might be, but we'll never have a first or second mover advantage. It's quite a dire situation. And even though the FCA have had consultations and they understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto, they're still treating them in exactly the same way. And until that changes, I just don't see how we can move forward properly.
We literally have the same problems in Israel. It's
Absolutely.
exactly the same. Everything that you just said is the things that I'm battling on with Israeli regulators and bankers too, right? So I don't know if you have it too, but the banking system in Israel is terrible when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin.
With the on-off ramps.
The on-off ramps. It's terrible.
They're making it really difficult for people to buy Bitcoin. And so early 2024, the same week that a Bitcoin spot ETF was brought out in the US, the FCA made it really difficult for people to buy Bitcoin. And then In 2024, it went up by 100%. So if they're there to protect investors and they're there for, they've got a growth mandate, then I think that's a fail.
In Israel,
Absolutely.
if you try and send shekels from your bank account to a regulated crypto broker, right? It's regulated. You still get a text message that you are sending money to buy a very risky asset. You shouldn't do it, and blah, 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 blah. Insane.
Yeah.
What about the public adoption or understanding of it?
Well, look,
Like
come on. I mean, no, because they've all been conditioned by the BBC, haven't they? And mainstream media. And so there's this absolutely fantastic platform website called Bitcoin Perception.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
And they analyze
the sentiment.
Exactly. And so across all of the different media, mainstream media outlets, so the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, Financial Times, the BBC, and it's all negative with a very small slither of balanced and almost no positive. Well, I know I've written...
You're the only one, more or less.
I've written over 140 articles across 2 different publications, and it's about all the amazing things that Bitcoin can do. How on earth can they not find something other than number go up?
How is there not another journalist that can do that in the whole UK?
It's because it's no longer journalism.
It's because
it's
they're
a different
really,
kind of industry.
as you said, conditioned, and they don't want to be unpopular and be cast out if they start speaking differently than the mainstream narrative.
Well, I think it is controlled, but it's also the clickbait aspect of it. So for me to be able to do the right thing and write about it in an honest way, I have to disassociate myself from the fiat system, because I know that if I write a number go up article, like what will the Bitcoin price do in 2025, I know that that'll do really, really well.
Yep.
But if I go and interview 4 different miners that are all implementing amazing mining solutions globally, that can take me 3-4 days, and it will get a fraction of the views. It won't have the same. I won't. So, for example, if I get over a certain amount, then I get paid, but extra. So I'm incentivized to write those clickbaity articles.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, because it's not newsworthy. So I have to take a financial hit in order to be able to actually do it and put the time in, knowing that I'm not going to be rewarded for it financially, but knowing that the reward will be through the educational aspect.
Beautiful. Yes. You want to go for City of London?
Yes. So basically, we know there's the City of London, and we know that it's the most important financial hub, definitely in the UK, probably in the world. And I know from people that are on the ground that there are changes in terms of their perception of Bitcoin and their adoption of the space. What are you feeling from the financial and banking institutions there?
Yeah, like you say, the UK have a history in financial services and computer science. And yet we don't seem to be doing very well with either. I really don't think people in the city take it seriously. And I don't think that they
even
will
when
for a
they
long
see
time.
what's happening in the US and Wall Street.
Yeah, like, so, yeah, they just don't. So
Ignore
at this a Financial Times Digital Summit, there was a lady called Emma Reynolds, and she's an MP, and she said, no, it's not for us. We're different.
We're different.
We're different.
How are we different? It's a different fiat system.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just crazy.
They don't understand it, because the education has been poor, because they've been reading these appalling mainstream media articles. Because when I was explaining my background, it was a history in finance and IT.
Yes.
And then I understood. And then I did the hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Well, when you're a journalist, you've just gone to journalism school.
Yes.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that they can't put the time in to write about something that's this broad and complicated.
Sad but true. Okay, you've been vocal about failures in mainstream media coverage of Bitcoin. Can you share the story of your experience with the BBC?
I can. Maybe not all of it.
Yeah. I know
Whatever
it's a
you
long
can.
one, but just a TLDR version and kind of your insights about it.
Yes. So the BBC have written many articles that have not been correct. But I decided there was one particular article that I wanted to try and see because it was so obviously false and wrong and easy to prove. So the headline was, every Bitcoin payment uses a swimming pool's worth of water. Bitcoin mining doesn't use water. Even the ones that are called in hydro are in closed loop systems. They don't really use water. It was just ridiculous. The problem is this was written, or the source of the document was a Dutch central banker. And he had been discredited in 2018. So, and they didn't even put that down as a conflict of interest. The fact that a Dutch central banker and a central bank,
writes about,
and they want to disseminate, well, Bitcoin's going to disseminate the banking industry, and they didn't think that was, but the fact that he'd been discredited in 2018. So I tried to put in a freedom of information request to ask them how they'd fact-checked the article.
Yes.
Because there's no way that they could have fact-checked it because it was completely wrong. So they came back and said that the BBC were exempt from giving any information because it was covered under journalism and arts. It's like, are you kidding? If it had been Sky or something that wasn't funded, it was the way that the BBC gets funded, then they don't have to release.
They're shielded, they're protected in a way.
Yeah, they're completely.
Unbelievable.
And that was the first time that I thought, hang on, there's something really wrong here. So once I realised I couldn't get the information for it being fact-checked, I decided to try and find out how else I could pursue this. So I went to I think it's called the Information Commission's Office, the ICO, to see if I could get the BBC's decision overturned. They upheld the BBC's decision, and I couldn't find out how to raise a formal complaint. I'd done it through the internet somehow, but nothing came back. It was like it was just going out into...
Yes.
So how do I do this? I wrote to the journalist who wrote the article. I wrote to their crypto correspondent. I wrote to their press office. Just getting ignored.
You even mailed in the post.
I did. Yeah, so
I will never forget
that was so silly.
She went to a post box and
because
it had a photo of her putting a letter in a
they
post
asked me
She
to
tried
send
everything.
Literally everything. And it got to the stage where it was just getting so silly. I had to... I won't even go into it because the ins and outs of how complicated...
I know, it's frustrating.
And explaining it would be boring, but basically, it took me 13 months of going through every single thing that they told me to do, I did, to prove that it was a dead end. So it was exhausting and it was very time consuming. And then after about 10 months, they were like, you have to go to stage 2 complaints. And then after another few months, 13 months in total, they went, like, that's it. No, we're not doing anything with this.
And this is a transparent democracy, right?
Allegedly, yeah.
Just goes to show what we've been going through during COVID and during all the other crises where they're feeding us with information that is easily debunked, but they would not budge. They would not give us access to it. And thank you for doing what you've done.
And it's provable now.
It's provable.
Yeah. Did you try and take it like publicly in terms of like confronting the BBC as in...
She did.
Only on Twitter. It was because I actually did half of the investigation without going to Twitter. I wanted to do it without that. When I started hitting brick walls, that's when I started going to social media and trying to raise awareness of it that way.
And still nothing.
No.
Very surprising.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was cynical. So you've been warning about the damaging legislation that's happening in the UK right now. Tell us what is happening. Why should we be concerned as Bitcoiners? What's happening right now?
So, as I said previously, the worst part is not understanding the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. And the legislators, so for example, at the FCA, I recently learned that every time somebody is asked to look into Bitcoin and then they understand it, they then leave. And they think that that's why things are so dire, because as soon as somebody gets a good understanding of what's actually going on, they're like, well, fuck this shit. And then they're kind of out. So like they just can't, am I allowed to? I'm sorry, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, cool.
Of course.
You're the voice.
So it's very difficult when you've got groups of legislators and you've got MPs and you've got policymakers and none of them understand it. Like they still think it's a joke. They actually just think it's laughable.
And what about what they're doing? You recently spoke, I think it was at that conference, about KYC and the danger it poses.
Yeah.
What is that little
No
thing?
KYC.
That's
Because it's very dangerous.
It's beautiful. Want one of them. Go on.
It's very dangerous. And I don't think that they understand.
Can you say a bit more? Why is it dangerous?
So there's a new, it's new in the crypto world, but it's called the FATF travel rule. And it's a rule that was implemented in TradFi, in the traditional system. And it was the G7 countries, it was set up in France. And they came together and said, right, we need information to travel with transactions because we want to stop money laundering. And they've had it in the current system and it hasn't worked. And now they want to bring it into crypto. But we know that we've seen examples of where people have been kidnapped, their fingers chopped off. Like there's real world implications around, and it doesn't even stop money laundering. So they're collecting all of this information. It's a honeypot for hackers. It's proven not to work. It's dangerous. And yet they want to bring it into crypto and Bitcoin.
It's not that they want, they are bringing it.
Yeah, it's already implemented, right?
I don't know when.
Can you do, I mean, KYC is now.
Oh, sorry. KYC is a general thing. Yeah, I was talking about the
the travel rule, I think, is
rule.
already implemented. I think it's already a must in most places right now.
Yes. I think it was the end of last year, wasn't it, that it came in? Yeah. Terrifying.
Yep. Definitely terrifying.
And there's no reason for it either. And it doesn't even work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It gets the bankers and the crypto financial institutions to spend tons of money on compliance and regulation, having teams of tens of people just to go through KYT of every transaction and all that, just to stop. There's a report from 2019 about stopping somewhere between 0.1% to 0.2% of all annual money laundering. So it's stopping, I think, 15 billion a year out of some trillions. And it's just preposterous.
It is preposterous. Yes, it's an excellent way of describing it.
Okay, so we have another place that's happening, and even more so, and that's the EU, which has been going through many kind of variations into communism, but one of them also is happening in the when it comes to crypto and KYC and MiCA, MiCA. What can you tell us about what's happening right now in MiCA as opposed to the UK, and your take on that?
So MiCA was new legislation that was created for the EU. I do have some issues with that because I've actually written another article where I could prove that these altcoins were funding their own research to then influence MiCA policy, and you can actually trace it.
Amazing.
Whereas in the UK, we didn't create anything new necessarily. We just fitted it into kind of old AML legislation. So I don't know, either or.
Yeah, they're both bad, but pick your bad.
Yeah.
Is the push for extreme surveillance a sign of desperation from legacy institutions or something more long-term in your opinion?
Do you know what? A lot of people, this is what I've realized. Most people working in these industries and pushing for these things, they think they're doing the right thing.
For sure.
And that's almost worse.
Yeah.
In a way. They really they still believe in the system.
Absolutely. That's one of the things Ben and I talk a lot about in the context of CBDCs in Israel. Like he spends quite a bit of time with the bankers, the central bankers and the teams around it and people who develop technology around that. And we both, obviously hate and resist CBDC as much as we can. It is going forward. And he keeps saying, they really don't understand what they're doing. They really think that they're doing the right thing. And I believe him. Like I've seen some of these people talk. I can read body language and energy and stuff. They are being sincere when they talk about it. They really don't see that they're doing anything wrong.
No.
Because they simply are unaware of all the risks and they don't really take it into consideration.
No.
So you're right. What is worse?
Yeah. So if you've got people that genuinely believe in what they're doing and they're trying to push something forward that they think is good for people and maybe, will serve them in some way or keep them safe or keep other people safe. It's like the mass surveillance that we have at the moment where everything is being recorded.
Cameras all around.
Everywhere. Facial recognition.
Yes.
It's getting crazy.
More than 1 million cameras around London, CCTVs. It's insane.
But that's capturing innocent people all the time.
Yes.
And the people that it doesn't stop anything. It's not solving crime.
No, it's easier to tax. When you've got everything recorded, you can simply email the fine or whatever it is directly by recognizing the license plate or your face or...
Yeah, walks even.
Yeah.
Or your transactions.
Yeah, everything. Everything is being... And most people are good.
Yeah.
And most people are law-abiding.
Mm-hmm. No, the system has flipped. So if in a democracy you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, now you're guilty until proven innocent, and you have to be the one proving that you're innocent as well. So, for example, a CCTV camera can send you a report for something that you allegedly did, but if you didn't do it, now you have to prove that you didn't do it.
Yep.
And that happens obviously with crypto and banks, right? So my bank asked me for reports of my KYT transactions going back all the time that I'm in the industry, and I told them, "Fuck you, not gonna happen. It's your job to prove that I'm allegedly money launderer or whatever. If I'm a criminal, you need to prove that I'm a criminal. You need to do your job. The law enforcement agencies need to do their job. I'm not gonna pay $10,000 for a report that sums down all my transactions just so I can liquidate some funds to the bank. What I'll do is I'll get non-KYC debit card that's associated with my crypto, and I'll just use that as money." So that's at least my perspective.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's madness. The whole thing is madness, but people don't really see it because they're all being conditioned. It's like tax. For a long, long time, I thought that you needed to pay tax for a functioning society, that it was a moral obligation if you wanted to look after people. And I really, truly believed that for a long time. And then when I really understood what they spent our tax money on, and I started feeling like actually paying tax was immoral in a lot of ways when it funds
Taxation
war
is
and
theft.
debt interest and fiscal mismanagement. And it's not going to go towards the ambulance that might save me if I have a heart attack. It won't be there.
Unless you don't pay tax.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
You always have to pay extra for the ambulance. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a big thing. I think a lot of Bitcoiners are now looking into taxation and looking at natural law and how they can start learning more about their state-specific legislation around taxing and what can they do to not evade that, but really like reclaim back the power. So, and it's a whole other rabbit hole. Speaking of rabbit holes, which I am aware of, but I have not dived into it. And I think that, it's difficult because this is so ingrained in our society, in our culture, in the way we think, that breaking through that is very difficult. But I think that's another rabbit hole to explore soon.
People think that if you've got nothing to hide, then why can't you be surveilled? Like that's always the thing that comes up the most.
Yeah.
And
I've got nothing to hide.
Right. But I think
They know everything about me anyway.
I may have
It's the
thought that
cypherpunk.
myself at some point, you know?
I don't want them to know everything about me.
No, well, you want
I
curtains.
mean, I do share quite a bit.
Why do you want these?
But that's voluntary. I'm happy to share what I want to share. I don't want them to know everything about me.
It's a combination, I think, of two things, like, or not a combination, but on the one hand, you have Big Brother TV shows, reality shows that let you just go into people's lives and make it normalized, right? So you feel like it's okay to be in another person's life and to become a part of it in a way. So then when you're violated, when your privacy is violated, you're like, okay, but I see his, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's also social media. So the fact that in order to feel that you are part of society, you have to share and show everything that you do and that you're allegedly happy. So these kind of mechanisms are part of letting go of our privacy.
Absolutely.
And on the other hand, you have the cypherpunk manifesto, which I believe you probably read, which is privacy is not secrecy. The fact that I don't want people to know something about me doesn't mean that I want to hide it. And it's, for example, I can donate funds to Bibi's campaign in Israel.
Netanyahu.
I'm not Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, which half of the country hates.
Oh,
yeah. Half of the country hates him. The other half loves him, like he's a king.
You love him or hate him.
But I, for example, let's say that I do play this part in politics. If I want to donate to some party, I want it to be private, because else it could affect my work relations. It could affect other parts of my life.
You could get debanked.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Heard he's coming.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Frank's going to be interviewing him.
That's amazing.
That's so cool, isn't it?
It is very cool. Is he into Bitcoin?
He is. He's very much a Bitcoiner. Yeah. He's gone very quiet on it. I actually sent him.
You guys have to bring him to the forefront a bit more in the UK.
Well, he's quite toxic, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, this is a test of my apolitical stance.
Right.
And I'd rather Bitcoin wasn't politicized.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to necessarily push anybody because within Bitcoin policy UK, it's amazing. We've got a mix across every single political party. So a couple of Lib Dems, a couple of Conservatives, a couple of Labour, a couple of Reform, a couple of I don't knows. Yeah, we all agree on Bitcoin.
Nice.
And that's incredible.
That is the power.
Because I don't think that's ever really happened before with anything. And so I really, really need to keep it apolitical as much as possible. However, I did send him a Bitcoin manifesto mid-May. So he has been in receipt of our Bitcoin manifesto.
Very cool.
Yeah.
He was on What Bitcoin Did a few years ago when they debanked him. And he talked about Bitcoin. He talked about the competition.
And he was at Bitcoin Amsterdam, I think, in 2022, and speaking there then. Yeah,
makes sense.
Your recent Forbes article raised some red flags about the idea of strategic Bitcoin reserve under Trump. What are the risks around the centralization of mining and state-level custody of Bitcoin?
So currently, the US have about 40% of the hash rate. The UK's got like 0.1 to 0.23%. So we are so behind. When it comes to Marathon, have proven that it's possible to censor transactions. So with the OFAC transactions, you can keep them out of blocks. So the more hash rate they have, the more they're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Trump has openly said that he wants all the Bitcoins to be mined in America and he wants all the mining to be there. And because the hash rate is so high, and then the second is like Russia and China, so they're the top three.
Yep.
So I think it's very much a short-term risk, the centralization of mining. And it's not just about hash rate. It's also about hardware, templates, and mining pools. So there's lots of issues where it's not really distributed. But there are some, at the conference, there are some amazing solutions. So you've got the little bit axes, and you've got heat bit. And if we can start putting mining into heating and anything that generates heat, like I saw at the conference that an amazing little coffee mug warmer.
Oh, wow.
So
No way.
you can mine Bitcoin and
so
warm your
cool.
coffee.
Nice. I like it.
Wow.
All these, so anything that generates heat,
Mm-hmm.
because 1 kilowatt in is 1 kilowatt out. So if you're not mining Bitcoin, but you're doing something that generates heat, then you're missing a trick.
Yep.
And so that's how true decentralization happens. So I do think that it's very much a short-term risk what's happening in America.
Mm-hmm.
However, long-term, I think that once game theory plays out and people start to understand it, I think it will then start to decentralize in the way that it needs to. And of course, because Bitcoin is anti-fragile, it needs to
Mm-hmm.
withstand these attacks, issues. You know, if it doesn't survive them, then it really doesn't deserve to exist, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you sure about the number that 40% is of the hash rate is in the US,
think
or
it's
is it mining
38%.
pools?
No, mining pools are a lot higher than that.
Okay.
So the top two mining, I think the top 4 mining pools make up about 83%.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking specifically about hash rate.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So that's definitely an important topic to talk about, but one that is definitely a big part of what we do in Israel and what we talk about, and we mentioned it, is CBDC. So I've been working on Peace, 10,000 words. It came out, almost a book
Wow.
about the
Please
digital
make it an
shekel.
audio version. I don't think I'll have time to read it.
Yeah.
I told him to split it to
splitting it. I'm
5,
splitting it to
and
5
then
parts. Yeah. And we want to know what's happening with the digital pound, right? So where do things stand right now? We know that there's a large team working on it. We know that they're not even sure if they want to do it, or at least that's what I heard.
Yeah, so we had a consultation and a lot of people responded. I don't think they listened.
Was it recently?
It was a couple of years ago now. Time goes so
Okay,
quickly.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't actually
Yes,
remember.
yes,
Like,
it wasn't recent. Yeah.
yeah, it would probably a couple of years ago, but feels like 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So it was a little while ago, and I mean, I don't even know if they know whether or not it's going to be on a blockchain or if it's just going to be a centralized database. Like, they've lumped it into crypto like it's digital money, but like they don't even know the kind of infrastructure. And when you look at the kind of person that's going to need to build it and implement it, no one who understands that tech. You're not going to get a decent person to do it, because anyone who gets what they're doing will not do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen many. I don't think we should stop fighting, don't get me wrong. However, I am quite hopeful, because when you look at, you know, places where you would expect it to take off, like China, it's not being successful. And Nigeria, you know, everywhere that it has actually been rolled out, it's not working. So look, they'll just spend a lot of taxpayers' money like they usually do. It will ultimately fail. But I do think we're at an inflection point where we will be choosing authoritarianism or freedom. And I think that we need to keep focused on making sure that we take the freedom route, because with the surveillance, with the threat of CBDCs, with the overreach with KYC, it's all heading in one direction, and it is terrifying. I do think people are starting to wake up. Do you get that feeling?
Yes.
Yes, maybe less where we are, but
Yeah.
but around the world, yeah.
Yeah. We were both against lockdowns, against vaccines and all that during COVID, and that's the first time we really saw like how much of the herd mentality has been embedded in our DNA, in the society DNA.
Very much.
And those were very, I know for me, I can't say for Efrat, but I assume it's the same, very dark times, right? Because you had very little hope that it can change. It seemed like the surveillance state's end game is imminent. But then many things happened with also the vaccines, and a lot of truth came out, and Fauci and all of that, and that opened people's eyes substantially to a higher numbers than what we saw. So it's definitely given hope. But the problem that Efrat and I are talking a lot about is that even with people, when they wake up to something specific, like for example, they can understand why Bitcoin is important, that if you fix the money, you fix the world, but they don't allocate the same resources in their mentality and their mind to asking, is climate change real? Should I be also looking with the same critical thinking at this problem or else?
More at the narrative, not the problem.
Yeah, so they're not taking a rabbit hole that they already woke up to and implementing the same thing to other stuff. So that's a problem, because they can tell you on the one hand, yes, Bitcoin is amazing, but on the other, climate change is real. We're all about to die, you know?
Although with climate change, I think that it's once again a very complicated subject, just like Bitcoin is. So I'm not as comfortable saying that something's real or not real, because I have spoken to climate scientists around the world that say that I know that temperatures change, but the speed at which the temperatures are increasing is quicker than the ecosystems can keep up with it. And so there are side effects to that. However, the waters get muddied because the solutions that governments want to implement are a nonsense.
Yeah, or taxing you on your carbon emissions.
It makes no sense. So you can believe both things to be real. Like, you can think that humans are causing a problem which is causing temperatures to rise faster than our current ecosystems can cope. I think that's, if you would speak to climate scientists, they would say that that's a fact. But you can also say that absolutely everything that the government is doing is not going to solve a single thing. It's just causing more harm. Like in the UK, we've got net zero. I mean, what does that even mean? What is that?
I just heard the statistic.
It means death. That's what it means, net zero. Like zero what? Zero carbon? There is no life without carbon. Carbon is the source of life.
It's ridiculous.
CO2 is the source of
and
life.
It's so ridiculous that I heard the statistic. I'm not sure about the final numbers, but if Canada goes to net zero, which it already, much more than that, it's already positive because of all the trees that they have, which are not somewhat not counted in the statistics. But even if they make it as they measure it to net zero, then what China does in, I think, 3 or 5 days, that's what Canada is just dropped. And it's just absolutely nonsense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Before I wrap up with your hopeful message to end with, is there anything else, any other topic or project that you want to bring up, you want to talk about or mention, that you think is important for our audiences to hear about and be aware of?
No, the only thing I would say is that it's important to study Bitcoin. I don't really like telling people to buy it, because you can only stomach the volatility if you understand what you're holding. So, you know, if you say, oh, buy Bitcoin, and then they buy it at the top and then it crashes, if they don't understand what they're buying, they're going to freak out and sell it. And then they're going to hate Bitcoin because they bought at the top and sold at the bottom. But I would just say any message to anyone listening would be just study Bitcoin.
And do you also think that they need to spend at least 100 hours to get it?
That's very daunting, isn't it?
It is. It sounds a bit
Yeah.
scary. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'd say just start off with something
With the first documentary or book.
or
and then
something
see
that
where you go.
interests you. Like, what is it that really gets you? What is the one thing? Because Bitcoin has so many different aspects to it. The freedom money aspect, or the number go up aspect, the mining, you know, methane mitigation, energy solutions. Like,
Yeah.
what is it that interests you? And then go off and look at that, and it will then take you off in many different directions.
Absolutely. We'll put a link to your column in Forbes
Yes.
and your X, wherever else
Yep.
you want. And you want to
Yeah.
finish with
So,
my favorite question?
Yes, Efrat's favorite question when she closes down the interviews is, what gives you hope, especially given some pessimistic potential stuff we talked about?
very simple. Bitcoin gives me hope.
So you keep doing what you're doing because you're doing great work. And I love following your work. I learn a lot from you. And thank you for the help you've been providing me with some of my writing along the way.
Anytime.
Yeah, I love it. Normally XRP stuff. She's the pro. I want to fact check stuff with Susie about XRP. Although she started from XRP.
I did, yeah. But isn't that better? Almost, because then you've been on that journey, haven't you? It's like everyone has to go through their shitcoining phase. Like they just do. And actually, I think it makes you understand it more. I mean, there's a handful of people that started off as maxis, but not really.
Yeah.
No, stop it.
Never had a shitcoin in my life.
Unbelievable.
Bitcoin, only Bitcoin.
Wow.
Maybe it's thanks to him, but
wow.
actually you told me at one point, do you want to do it this way or that? I'm like, non-KYC, Bitcoin only, don't even offer me anything else. Let's do it.
Yeah. That's very rare.
I guess it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like that way.
For sure.
Suze, love
you.
you. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you for
pod.
having me, guys. Thank you.
Good luck at the show.
Yes.